Today is the day that you have to register to make public comments in person at any of the 3 public hearings that are scheduled by Illinois State Police to delve into issues around the firearm owner identification card process of registering banned firearms with Illinois State Police under the Protect Illinois Communities Act. Welcome back, Bishop on Air. Like, subscribe, follow anywhere, click that notification bell, and stay tuned each and every weekday morning here as I bring you some of the latest happening, not just with litigation against Illinois' gun and magazine ban and all of the particulars and the questions that there are, but also about what's going on at the Illinois State House. You've got the 3 public hearings that are being offered by Illinois State Police, Thursday being the first in Springfield at 9:30 in the morning. But then you also have a hearing that's going to be happening in Chicago at 9:30 in the morning on Friday, and then yet another one happening down in Caseyville, which is in the Metro East area, on Monday. So if you look at the Illinois State Police, they've got the outline here for when you have to actually register to make public comments with those particular hearings spelled out and the addresses and whatnot. But they strongly encourage you to, if you can't make it in person, to watch via WebEx. But persons wishing to speak at the public hearing must do so in person. So you're not going to be able to make public comment as being heard that day, either of the 3 public hearing days, unless you register in person. Now, the date to register, you got to email isp.legal.publiccomments@illinois.gov no later than 12:30 today. So 12:30 p.m. If you will plan on being in person, then you've got to, if you want to make comments in person, you've got to register and send an email no later than 12:30 today in order to make those public comments. Again, the first hearing is going to be Thursday here in Springfield, the Capitol building, Stratton building, just behind the Capitol, and it's going to be in room D1. So we of course got some reaction from State Representative Blaine Wilhauer about the size of this room, which it's not that big. I asked around. I still haven't gotten a definitive answer of what the fire proof, the capacity for fire safety, and have yet to find out what that number is. But having seen hearings in that room, it's not a big room. Stratton D1. It only has about 80 public chairs and then 20 chairs on a set of risers for lawmakers and stakeholders who are going to be part of these hearings. So you've got a small room. State Representative Blaine Wilhauer says that's really not appropriate to have these types of conversations.
No, I don't think it's appropriate to do that in a small committee room. I think they're going to find pretty quick that there's a lot of people that are very anxious for some answers and just some accountability, somebody to actually talk to about, how they're going to do this. Is this the right thing to do? So, yeah, having it in a committee room in the Stratton, I think they're going to find that they're going to get pretty squeezed in there pretty quick. So I think the more light, the more transparency that we get on this issue and any other issue is definitely a good thing and appropriate.
So we'll be covering that tomorrow in a live hearing starting at 9:30. If you don't follow me on Twitter, I would strongly encourage you to, or you can just go and check out the Center Square, and that's where you can find the live hearings that are going to be happening. Again, thecentersquare.com/Illinois. Where you can see reports that I put together, that my team puts together, Kevin Bessler and Andrew Hensel doing work, and all trying to keep updated as to what's going on in and around Springfield, especially with state government. So we will have a live link here at thecentersquare.com/Illinois tomorrow morning, Thursday. And it'll be live about 9 o'clock, so you can have it open. You can make sure that you're tuned in at 9:30 if you can't make it in person. But again, if you are going to be in person and you want to speak at the hearing and ask a question to try to get an answer, you have to register with Illinois State Police by emailing them. And I'll flash this email again up on the page, isp.legal.publiccomments@illinois.gov. And you have to make those email arrangements by 12:30 today, Wednesday, November 1st. So you got to tell them, who you represent. If you're just yourself, all public speakers must provide their name, title, organization name, email address, and contact number when signing up to speak. So again, today at 12:30 is the deadline for you to register if you want to make public comments. Not just the Springfield hearing, but also Friday's hearing in Chicago, which we'll also have live at thecentersquare.com/Illinois, courtesy of Blue Room Stream. So if you're not subscribed to Blue Room Stream, definitely consider doing that as well. But these hearings, of course, being prompted by JCAR, the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules, which, as we covered a couple of weeks ago, they essentially tried getting a resolution to object to the rules of registering semi-automatic firearms, attachments, and 50 caliber ammunition. They were unsuccessful in getting that approved, but they did provide a recommendation motion that said that they want public hearings. And those public hearings, again, Thursday, 9:30 in the morning in Springfield, Friday, 9:30 in the morning up in Chicago, and then Monday, 9:30 down in Caseyville. I'm going to try to go to the Caseyville one in person just as I go to the Springfield one in person on Thursday to cover it for the Center Square. But State Representative Ryan Spain last week, he shared some of the particular questions that are important in this entire process, and he says that it's important to essentially get all this right.
In the state police, and there's a lot of questions on this topic. So I expect to hear more about it. We have a JCAR meeting scheduled for the first day of veto session in 2 weeks, so 2 weeks from now in November. So we will hear a report from the Illinois State Police about the questions that we have already submitted as a committee, and the new questions that come forward from advocacy groups and individual citizens that just say, boy, there are a lot of issues with this legislation that was passed. Again, legislation passed in a rush under lame duck circumstances delivers these type of results. Major issues with their implementation.
So major issues, and hopefully some questions can be answered during these 3 public hearings, or are people going to have to wait weeks to get answers to the questions that they raise? So we'll see what happens. We talked with Dan Eldridge a couple of weeks ago about the JCAR meeting and the rules and the hearings coming up. And Dan Eldridge with Federal Firearms Licensees of Illinois, I think he distilled down some of the really crucial minutia details that have true impacts because, well, if you don't register your firearms and you're found out of compliance by January 1st, 2024, which is just less than 2 months away now, you are going to possibly face a misdemeanor, Class A, or a felony, Class 3. Here's Dan Eldridge.
I expect that attendance at these hearings is going to be well in excess of what they could fit into that room. These rules are serious business. There's compliance risk for FFLs. There's compliance risk for manufacturers and customers, gun owners. We're talking about possible felony charges, and their rules that they published largely restated the act. They didn't educate anybody on all the ambiguity that's shot throughout this thing. Just one example. What's an instance of possession of a banned weapon? It's never really defined. Is it per firearm that's in your safe? Is it your safe? If it's examined at one time, nobody knows. And the difference between 1 and 2 offenses is significant. One's a misdemeanor and the second one is a felony where you're stripped of your gun rights, among other things. So it's a big deal. People are understandably quite worried about this implementation. We continue to press on multiple fronts within the courts to get the entire act struck down. But in the meantime, if we can get these rules clarified and implemented in a way that's at least less onerous, then that's a small win, but a win.
So we'll see what happens there. I am familiar with at least one, in a way, I think a big idea that a manufacturer has to somehow change the bolt of the AR-15, for instance, or maybe designing a new bolt for an AK that makes it no longer semi-automatic, but instead bolt action, which does that comport with Illinois state law? What about if your AR-15 still has the barrel sheath or the shroud or other attachments of the like? If it's a bolt action rifle converted from a semi-automatic rifle and you no longer have that pin or that bolt, does that comport? I think that's an interesting question. So maybe something we'll find out when Illinois State Police hold their meeting. 3 of them, again, Thursday in Springfield, 9:30 in the morning, Friday in Chicago, 9:30 in the morning. Both hearings will be streamed at thecentersquare.com/Illinois. You've also got the hearing Monday in Caseyville at 9:30 in the morning. I was able to ask Illinois State Police Director Brendan Kelly yesterday at an unrelated event about the hearings, the public hearings, what they hope to get. But I also asked him about, now with less than 2 months before the January 1st deadline to register semi-automatic firearms, the compliance rates. If you compare, 2.4 million firearm owners, ID card holders, to the 2,400 individuals who've registered with state police saying they have a banned firearm, that only comes out to 0.1% of firearm owner ID card holders who have told state police they have a banned firearm attachment or 50 caliber ammunition. And I asked him for his reaction on those two issues. Here's what Brendan Kelly had to say from Illinois State Police.
So the hearings are established by law and by request of JCAR when we do the administrative rulemaking process to provide input. We'll see who shows up, and we'll see what the public feedback they wish to provide about that administrative rule process. In terms of how that the pickup process has worked and the registration, it's been slow but steady, and I have no predictions one way or the other about the pace of that. And we'll just see how the process continues to work, and we'll share the data as we continue on a daily basis to do so.
So, again, he says it's slow but steady. I guess it is steady. It's been going up. It started at about 0.04%, and then it went to 0.07%, and then it went to 0.08%, and now it's at 0.1%. And again, not even a half of a full percentage point of total FOID card holders who have said to state police that they own a firearm that's banned by state police and by the state of Illinois. Now, some people speculating and sharing questions with me on, X and other platforms, asking if, maybe these are individuals who have a certain, license with the federal government that they have to register with the state government. There's some instances in certain class of firearms owners who have those requirements already on them. Maybe it's FFLs who are complying with this. Maybe it's members of law enforcement who are complying with this. They say they have a AR-15 at home. They work for Illinois State Police, and it's part of the job. So they're just going ahead and saying, yes, I have a personal AR-15. So maybe that's part of the overall number. So there are differing reasons. Of course, we don't know the reason why somebody would comply other than just to say we're following the law. But with the law still in question, especially in the courts, which we have yet to have any outcome of the 7th Circuit U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, we still have pending action in the Southern District of Illinois challenging the gun and magazine ban here in the state of Illinois. So some people saying they're waiting until some kind of outcome in those cases, which could be, the case going to the U.S. Supreme Court over time. But what happens if indeed you have the Southern District enjoin the state from enforcing the registry or delaying enforcement of that January 1st registration deadline? Could that possibly be an outcome? Again, we've got 2 months before January 1st, and a lot can happen in between now and then. So we'll see and continue to track that daily here. Be sure to follow along. Just search Bishop on Air on X, on Facebook, here on YouTube, other social media platforms you might be able to find me on. Best way to get a hold of me, though, is email bishoponair@gmail.com. Again, bishoponair@gmail.com. Be sure to put a note in your calendar. Tomorrow morning, you're either going to be in Springfield in person to attend this public hearing with Illinois State Police at 9:30 in the morning, or you can tune in at thecentersquare.com/Illinois, where you can watch the live stream. All right, so make that happen. It's Bishop on Air here on this. It is Wednesday, right? Yeah, it's Wednesday. So I appreciate everybody tuning in, commenting, and taking part in the conversation, making sure that you guys stay up to date and get in and out with information you need, so that you can get on with your day to do what you got to do. So appreciate everybody tuning in.